Welcome back to Switched to Linux. So today we're going to have a quick look at Manjaro Deepin. We're going to do a look and an install. This is of course, Manjaro is a distro that is usually on my top lists because they've come a really long way, particularly for getting an Arch-based distro into a very user-friendly and stable environment. Is quite impressive. And so I want to have a look at the Deepin desktop a little bit further, and I'm looking for desktops to probably try and run for a little bit as I continue to work and refine on my list of the best distros for 2018. So what we're going to do is, first we're just going to jump over to look at their website. So if we come on over to their main website, you can see that what we have here is the main site build, which is a very nicely done site. Of course, they have green. I always said, green helps things grow. It's one of the reasons Manjaro is a big distro. As far as the information, you can go to into your forums here. So you can go and grab the forum for your specific language. They have a wiki and an IRC channel of a couple different languages there. So there is a decent amount of support. As far as your releases, their flagship is the XFCE, and this I have to say is the best implementation of XFCE I've ever seen. And I've reviewed this and looked at this in the past. You can also get the KDE edition, the GNOME, and Manjaro Architect ISO. As far as the community builds, if you come back onto the download tab and hit community releases, we have the Awesome, which is kind of a hybrid window manager and desktop environment. I kind of want to look at this sometime, but not right now. We have I have no idea how to even pronounce this one. Beastbomb, I guess. We have Budgie, and this is the one that I've ran before for a while. This is one of the best distros I've ever run. Very stable, very nice out of the box. Cinnamon, my favorite desktop environment. I have not looked at Manjaro Cinnamon, though. Some people tell me it's good. And we're going to have a look at Deepin today. Of course, the Deepin desktop. This is based by the Deepin OS project. This does not have the software installer that contained the advertising script that some people made a stink about, and I myself would be concerned about an advertising script inside of a core part of the desktop. The Deepin build does not have that. So if you want to play with the Deepin build and you're concerned about that potential of either spyware or at the very least ad tracking, the Manjaro Deepin would be a good implementation. We also have the i3, LXDE, Mate, OpenBox options as well. So I grabbed the torrent of the Deepin so we could go ahead and install this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over and have a look at the installation process. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and run this in my VirtualBox. So I do have a VirtualBox set up for Manjaro. It currently has the XFCE, but I don't save these, so I'm just going to go ahead and install it. Now I have we have 4 processor cores, 6 gigabytes of RAM, and I upped the video memory to 256 megabytes. If you want to know how to do that, you can only go up to 128, at least in the current version. I heard you can go up there in some of the later versions, but if you don't have that version, just run this command. It's vbox manage space modify VM space, and then give it the name, which this is Manjaro, and then set VRAM to 256. That is the highest you can go. So doing that, it will set the virtual memory up to 256 megabytes. I just like doing that to make sure that I have the most, I want to utilize the VirtualBox to the best of the ability. So let's go ahead and start this guy up and see what happens. Okay, when we first launch into this, we have our various options here. So, of course, picking your time zone, your keyboard layout, your language. Now, for drivers here, you can go with free, which will give you just the open source drivers, or if you want to go with non-free, this should get you installations with things like maybe a Broadcom modem should be in there. It should get you any of your non-free graphic drivers. If you are seriously concerned about pure only open source, you want to stick with free. If you would like your system to work best, you want to pick your non-free. So whichever one of those that you want to do. And then we're going to go ahead and boot. And so this should boot us up into either an installer or into a desktop environment. Okay, so here we are on the Deepin desktop, and this kind of booted right in, and we got our full screen right out of the box, so that's good and useful. You can see that we have an option here under the welcome screen to launch the installer, so we're going to go ahead and do that. So here we are in the installer for Manjaro. We want to pick our versions here. Here's our time zone, all that kind of stuff. So that's good. Keyboard layout, US English, default, that's all good. And then here we can replace the partition. We can erase the disk. We can do manual partitioning. I think I'm just going to go ahead and replace the partition here. Tells you here where it's going to boot the bootloader. Okay, so we're just going to pick the Manjaro as the partition we're going to get rid of. This is a big swap file, so we're just going to go ahead and just leave that there. Do Manjaro across the board here. That's what I usually do for my virtual boxes, unless it's a production or something. Okay, we can log in automatically without a password. We can use the same password for the administrator account. If you want to have a separate root password, enter it there. Otherwise, check this box and it'll be the same as your main username. Okay, so it's going to set everything up. It's going to replace the partition. And we're going to go ahead and run this. Once we click this install now, this will effectively render whatever's on that disk useless. So make sure that that is okay with you. So we're going to go ahead and let this install, and then we will come back on when it is done. Okay, so it took about 15 minutes or so to install that. I actually stepped out. We're going to go ahead and click the check mark there to restart. Of course, you'll see I moved my camera to the other side because Deepin has this menu over here on the right side. So we're going to go ahead and click done. That will restart. I'm not sure if it's going to boot the drive out of there, so I'm going to go into optical drives here, remove disk from the drive. Installed BIOS system. So we're just going to go down there, and this option here, the bottom should be boot based upon the disk. Maybe not. Let me go ahead and just restart the machine here. It's one of the downsides of many distros. I think Ubuntu has this down the best, is when you hit that refresh on a VirtualBox, it kicks the disk out of the drive. In this case here, it's like it didn't know exactly what to do. So I kicked the disk out of the drive, and now we should be booting right off of the drive that we just installed this on. Okay, so here we are. We get our Manjaro welcome screen here. So it is telling us we have the option here to launch at start. We have access to the README, the release information, wiki, forums, etc., all this kind of stuff. What we don't have here is what some of the distros do have nicely is access to a, either a quick install or a first steps. And that's one of the things that I like about Linux Mint is that it will have all of that information in place. I'm going to go ahead and click the button to turn that off. And I am now in unfamiliar territory because I don't generally use Deepin. So we're just going to go ahead and experiment with this. That control center will pull up our bar. So that was our settings option. Up here, it's giving us notification that we have some updates to do. Okay, we get another. So we got one notification from up here in the upper right, and then we had another notification come up in the upper left. So I have no idea what's going on here. See if I can find my update settings. Okay, there's a system tray. Okay, so the system, pulling up the little button here to get us our system tray. That's kind of why I like system trays, because I have something to easily see. Of course, it does give us the notification that there are updates to do. Let's just go ahead and apply these. Hopefully this will not take forever to apply these updates, but we'll go ahead and look through the rest of the system while this is working on this, and then what we'll do next is have a look through the settings. So first, let's go ahead and see what applications are installed. So we have a launcher. So our launcher gives us a very nice modern look and feel. Our icon pack in this, it's very nice and colorful. Not always my favorite, but I like these. They're growing on me. These types of icons are growing on me. I'm sad to admit. But we have a nice launcher view. The thing I don't like about these launcher views is I like organization, and to me this looks like a cluttered mess. It's like Mac OS, where you don't have the option to say, get rid of all this stuff. Let's see. So we have Deepin Picker. It looks like a color picker. The file manager. Here's what our file manager looks like. Music application. I'll say too that these community distros should come in with a minimal install as well. I'm not sure what's happening with that Deepin Music app. Music app, there's a movie app, document viewer, simple text editor. There's a screen recorder built in, so that's actually kind of neat to have its own screen recorder. We're going to have a look at what the system is using. Understand, though, that we are in the process of running updates. The fact that we're running updates and it's still using 1.3 gigabyte of memory is not too bad. So it's a little bit more lightweight than some of the other desktops. It does appear to be. You can see its upload and download status here. I'm not sure what the upload is. Maybe it's just checking out what's going on online. All right. And let's see, with print settings, we have a calendar. Archive Manager Gparted. We have our add remove software, which is probably this application, which is pretty standard for Manjaro. SSH server browser, VNC. Bersario is installed by default. I wonder if it can burn a disk. It does have Evolution and Firefox. I like the fact, the choice of Evolution. That is my preferred email client. We have GIMP installed. We have HTOP in addition to the other system monitor, so maybe that's a little bit of redundancy. LibreOffice. We have Redshift. Manjaro settings, Manjaro notifier settings, Deconf editor, and MP3 media player, or MPV media player, excuse me. All right, let's go ahead and have a look at what version of GIMP we are running. It says still 2.8, so it is not having the 2.10 yet. I think the first distro I've seen coming with 2.10 out of the box was Linux Lite. See if they give us a regular install, or if it's just, yep, it's a regular install. Single window mode. All right. All right, and let's look at what version of LibreOffice we have. My guess is, we are 6, LibreOffice 6. I was guessing it might be another 5 branch, but I guess not. All right. Okay, we do not have the synonyms or the autocorrect plugins built in. That's kind of a downside, particularly if you're saying this is a distro for new users. That's something that a lot of people wouldn't know how to add. And maybe I'll do another video about how to add that down the road. All right, so there's our applications installed. Let's go ahead and have a look at our settings manager. This is where some people really like this settings manager. Some people really don't. I'm not quite sure if I have an opinion on it yet. Here, this is our notification, which was about our updates. We have our weather over here. And then here we have a variety of different things. So here is accounts. So this is our user account. Our displaying, so we can scale our displays, resolution, brightness, screen rotation, default applications. So yeah, this is a little bit of a on one hand, it's not too bad, but it is a little clunky in how many things there are. We do have a very nice application, though, here for simple text. Which media players, which video players. Maybe I'd want to select this one. Image viewer, terminal. So that's actually, I do like how they're doing a lot of their things. As far as our theme, we have Deepin default. I like the nice previews that we have on these. Icon themes. Looks like Compass is the theme that we have installed by default. Then we have a few different icon packs installed. Okay, here's your basic fonts. Of course, you can scale your fonts. Enable window effect. Okay. I seem to have crashed something. All right, there we go. It's back. All right. So enabling the window effect seems to crash things. So here we have our wired network. There is no SSL or SSL. Wow, there is no wireless card on this computer, so I can't tell you if the wireless is working. Here's VPN. If you were using a VPN system, you can import a VPN or create a VPN, so that's nice. Network details. I want to see if there's a place where I can... okay. Let's add settings. I'm seeing if there's a place where I can change the DNS server settings on this. Not really seeing much there. And it does appear as... oh, there it goes. I'm going to say it did kind of appear as though it was crashing some things out. So it's not... it runs a little clunky. I got to say it is a little bit clunky here. Yeah, add settings seem to crash something there. Here's we can make adjustments to the speakers. So this is where you can select your inputs or outputs. So which... devices do you want to use where? That's actually a very handy thing. I like that in the Budgie desktop specifically because I can very quickly select between my different devices a little bit faster than I can do it in Cinnamon and other places like that. Sound effects, turn those on and off. Here we can change our date and time. Auto sync, time zones, power management. I do like the I can really understand what everything does in here very nicely. All right, we got a little error here. Could not get information on fonts and coatings. So there's something there that's not working there, but that's okay. System is now up to date. Okay. I'm not sure I like the implementation of how this is going. It's like it keeps on disappearing on me. All right. System information. No, I'm not seeing right out of the box here. Let me go back and see if I can find where I can make adjustments on the weather. So I'm guessing this guy here. All right, so that is what we're seeing here. All right, so that's good. So just clicking on this will adjust the location. I'm guessing it's just going to pull from my time zone selected by default. All right. Here's wallpapers, so I can pick which wallpapers I want. That's pretty cool. I like that one. We're just going to go ahead and run with that. Display settings. What I'm not seeing is it should be able to have icons on the desktop, because I did see that when we booted into the live key, it did show me desktop settings, and I'm not seeing where that option happens to be at this point. I want to put my computer up there, or my my home folder. I'm very sure it's possible. Deepin itself bills itself out for a new user, and what I'm not really seeing here is some of the options that I would see on a Mate or an XFCE or a Cinnamon to put desktop icons on the desktop. Maybe it is this bar is a little bit too convenient and not quite easy to figure out. Because I can't, like I said, I can't see how I might put my desktop icons on here. I'm sure it's possible. I'm sure an internet search would give me that information. As far as everything else, let's see. So here's our system tray. This is our kernel option here, I'm guessing. This one should load our kernel options, but it doesn't seem to be doing that. All right, so here we have our package manager. This is your basic package manager that you would get in Manjaro. So if you do want to use the Arch user repository, you can go ahead and do this. It does tell you that this could raise some complications. You can use mirrors for various locations. Go ahead and grab the United States. Removing unrequired dependencies. Removing unrequired dependencies will keep your system a little bit cleaner, but it might accidentally break something. That's just something you wanna verify. Okay. All right. So here, if I want to go into groups, installed applications, any pending updates. Here's categories. So if I want to go into development, there's your games, graphics. If you want to install something like Blender for 3D animation, you can go ahead and do that. It's going to download what it needs to download. You know, it updated pretty fast for having worldwide mirrors on. I was actually impressed how quickly that updated. So that was good. We did actually get an update. Looks like we got an update to LibreOffice. So let's go ahead and boot up LibreOffice, see if the update added the spell checkers and things. I want to give that the fair chance. Nope. Bummer. So I did install Blender. I'm not seeing it show up. Oh, there it is. Okay. Wasn't seeing it in the alphabetical list. All right. So if I right-click and dock that, that should be docked and ready to go. All right, that's good. Whoa. All right. The next thing I need to do is, let's see, mode. Here's efficiency mode. So if you do want your system monitor, you can do this. This would probably be how I'd want to run the thing. I just like this form of a dock better. Of course, the challenge is it's going to still run kind of like a dock on Mac, where I'm not going to get my list of tasks and things like that. It does look like it has a fairly up-to-date version of Firefox. So 60, I think that's probably the most recent version, so that's good. Okay, so here's our mode, location. We can do top, bottom, left, right. Here's our small version. Okay, so we can keep shown, we can keep hidden, or we can smart hide it. And that's about all we can do with that. Let's go ahead and go back to the fashion mode. on small. I do like that. Can I drag these around? Good. So where was my... Yeah, that was my system tray, recycling bin. Here's my clock. Let's do... undock that one because I wouldn't use it. So just right click to add things to the dock. Yeah, it seems to be lacking the settings. It kind of gives me like a GNOME feel. I really can't do anything with it other than just add the, I can make the panel go all the way across or not at all. See if there's any other settings that so I'm guessing then I would need to, for Deepin, I'd need to put the icons on the desktop, I'd need to go into the deconf editor and do it there. I just don't remember exactly how to do that, so I'd have to look that up. There's notifier settings. Okay. And we did get a notice about kernels, but okay, there we are. I had to... So this is like an inconsistency thing. I'm not sure if this is with GNOME or with Deepin or with Manjaro, but I right click the packages to get that booted, but I have to left click. I left click the packages to get that booted. I have to right click the kernel settings, and so now it's running 4.14. So actually that's an older kernel that I would expect Manjaro to be running. Okay. So as far as our applications, our analysis, hey, there we are. We can sort it better that way. I like this way of sorting it. This is nice. This is much better. Thank you, Deepin. Okay. So this is much more tolerable than the other view. So I guess that's kind of the moral of the story. Poke around with everything first, right? So you have your option in the upper corner, and I think this might actually kind of restore a menu. Yep. So if you do want a menu option, you can do this as well. So that's the button over here. Documents, music, picture, download. So those are actually pretty nice. Those are more kind of features built into there, so that's pretty cool. Let's see if I can get this music app to launch this time. All right, so now it launched. So I'd have to experiment with that a little bit more. All right, so that minimizes it to the system tray is what that's going to do. We're going to close that out. All right, so there's Deepin, Manjaro with Deepin. So overall, final analysis. I think I am going to try and run this on my main system for a while, see what I get. I want to see how well it runs, how well it functions. I want to see if it completely drives me crazy or not. As far as the downsides for me, I don't like the way that I can't seem to easily get my desktop icons on here. I'm sure I'll be able to do it. It's just not an intuitive thing. And when I'm talking about these distros, I'm usually talking about it from the perspective of a new user or somebody unfamiliar with the desktop at the very least. And so from this, I really can't see how I can add various system icons to the desktop. And I don't have a way to add our tasks across the bar when I expand this out into the more efficiency mode, which I like this mode better. This is exactly how I would run it. In fact, I'd probably run the thing just like this. This is kind of the way I like to do things. As far as the style and design, I really like the style. I like the look of it. I love this wallpaper and this setup. It's beautiful. It's kind of dark. The Firefox theme, I guess the windows aren't specifically dark. It's just the overall core theme is. I can probably go ahead and make those adjustments as needed. So yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and give this a try. See how it runs as a media PC. I like the Manjaro base. I'm not as big of a fan of how the system works right out of the gate, but I want to see if it grows on me. If it's like Budgie, where I like it, but it can become boring, or is it going to be something that's going to be a very nice system? I like the versatility. You can do the docks. You can do You can do kind of the full size. You can do the menu, a traditional menu, or the blob. I don't care for the blob. I find it very disorganized. But I do like this view here. Installation, about 15 or so minutes. I do have a lot of different settings. I think one of the things I'd like to do, this gets me the calendar. I want to see if I can get the hot corners set up. Where did I do my, no, not a new folder. Corner settings, there we are. No. Let me do it from up here. See, this is supposed to launch the control center at this point, and it's not launching. Now, I'm not a fan of hot corners, so I'm actually okay with the fact that the hot corners aren't doing anything for me. But if I wanted to set this, unless I'm just a moron and can't figure out how to set a hot corner, I would figure I do none and it does nothing. But if I hit my control center, then it should launch the control center when I come up here. Anyway, these were my my random thoughts on Manjaro with Deepin. Overall, would I recommend this to a new user? I'm not sure I would. There's some things that are nice about it. I think for me, it's not the Manjaro aspect. It's more of the Deepin desktop. The Deepin desktop to me does not feel as very user friendly. It doesn't feel like it can be easily gotten used to. But I'm going to try it. I'm going to go ahead and install this on one of my computers, give this a go, and when I give this a go, I'll play with it for a couple of weeks and see if it grows on me. I'll see if some of these small issues were resolved, and just look around and see how it works. I'll work on getting those desktop icons on there. I'll report back when that occurs. And other than that, let's just see how this runs. So thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can check out the main page at switchtolinux.com/support. That will give you all of the ways you can currently help support the channel. You can pick up something like a coffee cup or a t-shirt at the shop at shop.switchtolinux.com. And don't forget to swing by the Patreon page, patreon.com/TomM. So thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.